Let's find the first and second order derivatives of g of x, given that g of x equals e power 5x times cosine of x squared. So here we consider this as a product of two different functions, that is e power 5x and cosine x squared. So to find the derivative of g, we should use the product rule, and that means we can consider the first function e power 5x x the first one, and cosine x squared as the second one. So first we apply the product rule to find the derivative of g of x. So I write g prime of x, and this equals, according to the product rule, we write the first function as it is and then multiply with the derivative of the second function. So we find the derivative of cosine x squared, which is negative sine x squared, and then we apply the chain rule to find the derivative of x squared, which is 2x. Now, according to the product rule, we put the second function, that is cosine x squared, and then multiply with the derivative of e power 5x. The derivative of e power 5x is e power 5x times applying the chain rule to find the derivative of 5x, we get 5. So let's simplify this, and this equals, we have e power 5x in both the terms, so I'm going to factor out e power 5x, and that means I can write down this as e power 5x times, this is 2x times negative sine x squared, which gives negative 2x sine x squared, plus we are factoring out e power 5x, so we will have 5 times of cosine x squared, which is 5 cosine x squared. And so this is the derivative of g, which is g prime of x. Now we find the second derivative of g, that is we find the derivative of the g prime of x to get its second derivative, that is g double prime of x. And once again we can apply the product rule here, that is I'm going to consider this e power 5x as the first function, and then this one negative 2x sine x squared plus 5 cosine x squared. This expression I'm going to consider as a second. So applying the product rule, I write the first function as it is, that is e power 5x, and then multiplied with the derivative of this expression. So here we have to be a little bit careful because this expression has two terms. In the first expression, we have negative 2x sine of x squared. To find its derivative, we should apply the product rule. That is, we consider this negative 2x as first, and then sine of x squared as the second. So first, let's find the derivative of negative 2x sine x squared. So first, I put the first one as the negative 2x, and then multiplied with the derivative of sine of x squared, which is cosine x squared, and then applying the chain rule, we find the derivative of x squared, which is 2x. So we found the derivative of sine of x squared. Now applying the product rule, we write the second, that is sine x squared, and then multiply this with the derivative of negative 2x, which is negative 2. So now we have done the derivative of negative 2x sine x squared. Now we will do the derivative of 5 cosine x squared. Here we can find this derivative by writing the 5 first and finding the derivative of cosine x squared, which is negative sine x squared, and then multiplied with the derivative of x squared, which is 2x. So we have done the derivative of this complete expression. Now, according to the product rule, we put this second expression and then multiply with the derivative of e power 5x. So let me copy the second expression, which is negative 2x sine x squared plus 5 cosine x squared. This has to be multiplied with the derivative of e power 5x, which is e power 5x, times applying the chain rule, we find the derivative of 5x, which is 5. So now we have done the derivatives of the right side expression by applying the product rule. We will simplify this and put it in a very simple form. So I write g double prime of x, this equals we have e power 5x times this one is negative 2x times 2x is negative 4x squared, and then cosine x squared. Here we have negative 2 sine x squared, and here we have 5 times 2x is 10x, but we have a negative here, so it is negative 10x sine x squared. We close this bracket. Now this one is e power 5x times 5 is 5 e power 5x times this expression, that is negative 2x sine x squared plus 5 cosine x squared. The next step, we will simplify this further. Maybe we can also factor certain terms. So here this equals. Observe that we can factor this e power 5x and cosine x squared. Also, we have another like term e power 5x and cosine x squared. So I'm going to factor this. That is, I write down e power 5x times cosine x squared. When I factor e power 5x cosine x squared from these two terms, in this term we are left with negative 4x squared. And in this term we have a product of 5 times 5 is 25. So it is plus 25. And similarly, now I'm going to factor e power 5x and sine x squared. And so when I do that, from these two terms, this is e power 5x as plus this one is also sine x squared. So let's factor e power 5x times sine x squared. We have one more sine of x squared, so we can also factor from this sine x squared. And so we will get, I write down this below. This one is e power 5x times this is negative 10x. When I factor e power 5x sine x squared from this expression, I have 5 times of negative 2x is negative 10x. And when I factor e power 5x and sine x squared from this term, here I have negative 2. So I write negative 2. We can now simplify this expression. That is, this one is a negative 10x, negative 10x is negative 20x, negative 2. So I'm going to write down this as negative 20x, negative 2. This multiplied with negative 20x, negative 2. Now I'm going to factor only the e power 5x from these two expressions. So when I do that, I get e power 5x times this one, the first expression, you can write down this as negative 4x squared plus 25 times cosine x squared. And then here I can factor the negative. So this one is a negative of 20x plus 2 times the sine x squared. I will change this to square brackets. This square bracket is to indicate that we have factored e power 5x. So therefore, this is the second derivative of g, which is g double prime of x.